Hey guys, I just finished up 2 full days golfing at Cabot Cape Breton, and I want to show you guys my experience just in case you need to add this course to your golfing bucket list. I actually came down on a guy's bachelor party. So I flew all the way from Calgary, flew to PEI, drove to Nova Scotia, and here we are at Cabot Cape Breton. To start this day, we are playing Cabot Cliffs. Everyone in my golfing network says that their favorite golf course is Cabot Cliffs, so I put it on a pretty high pedestal. So I was kind of nervous, excited to find out what was going to happen once I got here, and let me tell you, the views and the course did not disappoint. We started the day at the driving range. We actually showed up 2 hours before our tee time. That's a little earlier than I like to show up, but we had a ton of time to use the facilities. The range is incredible. We were hitting off mats, but the mats were some of the best mats I've ever hit on, and they have a TrackMan. Every single bay, I would say there's probably 30 or 40 stalls, all have an individual TrackMan. So it was super useful to find out what your yardage was, because I was hitting the ball probably 30 yards shorter than I would at home. Because we're right on the ocean, there's so much wind that my 150-yard club was only going about 110 yards. So there was a huge yardage gap that I just wasn't used to, and it was so good to warm up on the range to find out what my yardages were. Once we warmed up on the range, we went to the chipping green and got to get a little bit more familiar with how the grass was, how the greens were rolling. Then we went and rolled some putts, and the greens were so cool. I find that this course has such huge greens that if you're coming to play here, you really need to test out the practice with green just to get a feel for how they're rolling, and then you got to get used to a lot of the contours because there's a ton of contour on all these greens. Once we finished practice putting, we went for a couple famous transfusions. That's probably my new favorite drink on the golf course. Those were awesome. Had 2 of those just to kind of get rid of the nerves before we teed off, and then we're golfing. Once we finished the transfusions, we were finally ready for our tee time on Cabot Cliffs, and you're in awe just as soon as you get to the first tee. You see so much of the Atlantic Ocean on this whole golf course. I would say probably like the first 12 or 13 holes, you can see the ocean, and it's incredible. I've played ocean courses before that you see the ocean on 2, 3, maybe 4 holes, but to have the majority of the golf course on the ocean is truly incredible. So I was able to play both courses. The day before we filmed, I played at Cabot Links, and I found the Links to be a little bit different. It was still a beautiful course. I think it's still like number 35 in the world. The views are amazing. You can see a ton of the ocean, but there's not a lot of elevation. I find that on the cliffs, there's a lot more elevation change, so you can kind of go to the high point of the course where you're looking down, or on the Links, it's pretty flat. I think the Links was a really good experience, but after playing both back to back, the Cliffs is by far my favorite. It was so cool. It's tough to pick a favorite hole because you can see so much of the ocean. Like, so many golf courses have one or two signature holes where you have the elevation and you have the water, and it's so hard to pick one because so many holes are like so many golf courses' signature holes. If I had to pick one hole that is my favorite, it's probably 16. 16 is the par 3 with the big cliff. We were playing kind of a twilight round, so the sun was just starting to come down. You had a direct line look right over the water, over the cliff. You could see the pin. What I didn't realize is that the green was really sloping. So unfortunately, I was on the left side of the pin, which gave me almost no chance at par. I was thrilled to hit it, and I was really hoping someone in our group got a hole-in-one on that hole. But as far as like a picturesque view, I'm gonna remember that. I pulled out my phone, was taking pictures of that hole. So I would say 16 on the cliffs is my favorite. So we could not have had two more different weather experiences when I played the links. It was super windy, which you should expect if you come to play an ocean course. It started to rain, and I would have felt a little ripped off if I had perfect weather, because everyone I've talked to said that you have to play in these crazy conditions. And then we had the polar opposite when we played the cliffs. It was probably the calmest day even some of the guys out here have ever seen. So we really lucked out. It was super hot. It was probably 28, 30 degrees Celsius, very minimal wind. So I kind of got to experience the windy, rainy round, and then I got to experience the nice, hot, sunny round. Although I've talked to some of my buddies that have played when it is like almost unplayable. The flags are falling over and there's rain coming in your face, so I'm glad we didn't get that. But overall, we had really great weather. I find both of these courses very playable. These are resort style courses, and I find that resort style courses sometimes can be too tough. I would say that any golfer of any skill level could get by on both of these courses. The fairways are huge. Some of these fairways are 100, 200 yards wide. Sure, there's some bunkers, but there's actually not a lot of rough. It's like 100 or 200 yards of fairway and then kind of tall fescue. So I would say if you're a high handicap, like a 30 handicap or a scratch golfer, you're gonna have different lines that make the course fair yet challenging, but overall, like, it was so much fun and I didn't get too frustrated. Like, you could lose a lot of balls out here, but I found if you could kind of hit your targets, you could definitely find your way around the course. Again, doesn't really matter what your skill level is. I found that the course was in fantastic shape. I think recently there's been a ton of rain that came through here, so I was a little nervous that it might be too soft, and it was anything but too soft. The fairways run a bunch and the greens are super hard. I haven't played greens in a while that weren't super receptive. I actually found it hard to even find divots. I was hitting really high lob wedges. They would land, they would check, but I couldn't find a divot. So the greens were super firm. The fairways ran pretty firm. There was no balls plugging. So I thought the course conditions overall were super good, probably like a 9 out of 10 condition wise. So I used a caddy on both days that I played. I really wanted to have someone that had local course knowledge that could tell me where to hit it, where to avoid, even how to navigate the course. When I was talking to the caddies, they said that they have upwards of 300 caddies that work at this property. When I was looking at other guys playing the course, there was almost 4 caddies in every single group. The caddy was an extra fee on top, so let's get to the green fee. This green fee was $530 Canadian, and the caddy was another $90 plus tip. Both days I paid $150 for my caddies, and that was cash. So it's super expensive to play out here, but this is not a course that you come to play every day or a couple times a month. That this is like really a bucket list trip. If you're gonna save for months or years, bring the boys together, it's really like a once in a lifetime opportunity. And I didn't want to sell myself short and not taking a caddy, so I found it great that I could walk, not having to carry my bag. It was a very friendly walk. A lot of the guys here pushed, but I wanted to get the full experience, so I'd recommend taking caddies, and both guys that I had were awesome. What I found interesting is that the links and the cliffs are actually they're on the same property, but they're a drive apart. The first day when we played the links, the driving range is actually at the cliffs. So we took the shuttle service. There was a shuttle waiting at the golf course. It was a 3-minute drive to the cliffs, use the driving range, shuttle back. So I thought that was really cool. The guys at the bag drop are super friendly. As soon as you get to the course, it's your first time here, you're taking it all in, you don't really know where to go. And I found that there was always staff around to make your experience enjoyable and easy. You're on vacation playing out here, and I found that the staff really knew how to accommodate guys that are coming through here. At the links course, they had a fantastic restaurant, and the windows open up to the 18th green. I had probably the best lobster roll I've ever had in my life. There wasn't a restaurant at the cliffs course. They did have like a nice little comfort halfway station. There was a ton of variety. That's where I got those transfusions. I also had, I think it was their Philly cheesesteak sandwich. So they had a ton of variety. It wasn't just like hot dogs or a cold sandwich. I think that the food and the drinks that they had really are geared towards the type of people coming through here, and I think people want more than a hot dog when you're paying this type of cash to play a really nice golf course. If this property isn't already on your golfing bucket list, add it now. Like, it was so incredible. I've played some beautiful golf courses in my life, and this is easily the best golfing experience I've ever had. I've been to other Cabot properties. I played Cabot Citrus Farms in Florida, and that's where I got to experience the hospitality that the staff gives the people that come through the door, but the views do not even compare to the Atlantic Ocean. To see the water on so many holes, I'm gonna be dreaming about this forever, and I can't wait to come back. So if you haven't added this to your golfing bucket list, you need to do so ASAP, and I hope that this video is doing the course justice, because it was truly one of the best days of golf I've ever had. All right, guys, that wraps up my experience at Cabot Cape Breton. I hope you guys enjoyed the experience as much as I did. If you haven't already, make sure you smash subscribe so you can see future travel videos that we do. Thanks again for watching this video. We'll check in with you next time.